We all know that calorie counting is a great tool for reaching fitness goals, but how can you count calories without becoming obsessed? In this video, I'm going to discuss 5 tips on how to count calories without getting obsessed, as well as how to have a healthy relationship with food and a healthy mindset. And if you would like more of a deep dive on this topic, you can read our full blog post by going to Google and typing in "Feast Good, how to count your calories without getting obsessed." We also just published a video on the channel on how to track your macros step by step, which is a really good place to start if you've never tracked your macros before. I'm not going to go over any of that in this video, but if you're interested in watching that video on macros, it is linked in the description box. While there is a lot of people that want to track their calories, some people should not count calories or macros at all. Regardless of what I'm going to go over in this video, if you fall into one of the categories of people who should not count calories, we would not advise you to do so. Now, who should not count calories? If you're someone who has or is currently struggling with an eating disorder, it is highly advised that you steer clear of calorie counting. Whether you're struggling with eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, or binge eating disorders, research shows that calorie counting can only exacerbate these conditions. One eating disorder in particular that is seen quite commonly with individuals who obsess over their calorie intake is orthorexia. Now, orthorexia is an eating disorder where somebody will fixate so heavily on the purity and the amount of food that they eat to the point where it will negatively affect their overall health and well-being. So if you or anyone that you know is struggling with orthorexia or any other type of eating disorder, seeking help through your doctor or an eating disorder specialist is advised. You should also not count calories if you or those around you consider you to be a perfectionist. If you have the type of personality that cannot be satisfied unless things are absolutely perfect, even at the expense of your own mental health, then calorie counting is not the practice for you, since it can in some cases lead to obsessive compulsive disorders that can be extremely detrimental to your mental health. And lastly, you shouldn't count calories if you have a negative relationship with your body and how it looks. When you have a negative relationship with your body and the way that it looks, then counting your calories can also end up having a negative connotation to it. Anytime that you're looking to change your body composition, it's important to evaluate your why and what is fueling your desire for transformation. If you're trying to track your calories from a place of hate for your body, then this is much different than if you're counting calories and shifting body composition strictly to challenge yourself and hit a goal. If you fit into any of the categories I just mentioned, then we advise that you do not count calories. Moving on, for those that are able to count calories, I want to get into our 5 tips for how to do it without becoming obsessed. The first tip is to set a realistic calorie goal. Setting a reasonable calorie goal to hit is going to have a really big impact on whether or not you can maintain a happy and healthy relationship with counting calories. If you don't set a calorie goal that's right for you, it can set you up for failure, which could encourage an unhealthy relationship with tracking. For example, let's say we take an active 25-year-old woman who is 5'4" and 135 pounds. Let's call her Shirley. Shirley should be eating roughly 1,967 calories to maintain her weight and 1,717 calories for healthy weight loss, according to this TDEE calculator, which stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. If Shirley has to drastically reduce her caloric goals to, let's say, 1,200 calories a day, not only would she find it extremely difficult to hit this goal without going over, but she could end up losing control around food or developing binge eating patterns. This type of behavior is only going to worsen her relationship with calorie counting. When you're setting your calorie goal, make sure that it's a reasonable number that you can maintain on a consistent basis, based on how much activity you do throughout the day or the amount of energy that you're expending. Tip number 2, allow yourself some flexibility. In order to avoid any perfectionist type behavior, it's important to allow yourself some flexibility with your calorie goal. Rather than trying to hit an exact number every single day, for example, if Shirley was aiming to eat exactly 1,717 calories per day in order to lose weight, it would be very easy to become obsessive. Hitting such a precise number on a daily basis would require her to plan and count very carefully every single bit of food that she eats. On the other hand, if she were to allow herself a rough calorie range to aim for, such as 1,650 to 1,800 calories, she would still be very close to her daily calorie goal while taking the pressure off herself to hit her calorie goal perfectly and precisely. Tip number 3, allow yourself to make educated estimates on food once in a while. Now, when you're out and you're living your life, you aren't always gonna have access to a food scale or the normal foods that you eat everywhere you go. Like, for example, if you go out to a restaurant or you're over a friend's house for dinner, you don't need to freak out about not being able to track your calories flawlessly. You can, a lot of the times, just roughly estimate how much food you're eating or the types of ingredients in a meal, so you can just get an idea of how many calories that you consumed. For example, let's say you go to a barbecue. and you eat a cheeseburger. You can get an idea of how many calories you ate without a food scale by simply estimating the weight of the burger, the amount of condiments that you used, and the generic burger bun. If you're looking for an excellent calorie counter, I've reviewed over 18 on this channel, and our favorite is Macro Factor. Now, if you'd like to learn more about that, I have attached a video review for the app in the description box. So to show you an example, let's estimate the calorie count of a cheeseburger on Macro Factor and see what it comes out to. 5 ounces of beef burger patty, 80% lean, 384 calories. 1 cheddar cheese slice, 113 calories. 1 tablespoon of ketchup, 19 calories. 1 burger bun, 140 calories. Total, 656 calories. See how easy that was? Using rough estimates when you don't have access to your normal calorie counting tools can still provide you with an accurate calorie count, while also allowing you to enjoy social engagements with food. Moving on to tip number 4. Use your calorie counting app to track your favorite foods or meals. Many of us are creatures of habit. We tend to eat certain meals multiple times throughout the week or even every single day. Maybe you rotate out your dinners but are like me and still have the same bowl of steel-cut oats with berries every single morning. Maybe that's just me. But whatever your go-to meals are, if you find that there are certain meals that you eat on a regular basis, you can try saving those meals in your calorie counting app and eyeballing the proportions that you normally use instead of painstakingly weighing every single ingredient on the scale and logging them separately. This simple change will reduce the amount of time that you have to spend on the practice of calorie counting and allow you to experience more freedom with your food. Our 5th and last tip is to only track your calories for certain periods of time and take breaks. While tracking your calories can be extremely beneficial when working towards a body composition goal, it's not a practice that's meant to be practiced every single day for the rest of your life. For this reason, it's recommended to track your calories for a period of time, but allow for diet breaks in between periods of calorie counting. During these breaks, you can tune into your body's natural hunger cues and enjoy more food freedom, which will help improve your relationship with food. You don't ever want calorie counting to feel like a prison, and for this reason, it's critical that you take time away from the practice. The tips that I mentioned are also great options for anyone who just needs a break from calorie counting but intends on using it again in the future. Now, if you're coming to this video because you already feel yourself becoming obsessed with calorie counting, I just want to give a few additional tips as to what you can do right now. Number 1, take a break. If calorie counting is consuming you, one of the first things that you should do is delete your calorie counting app and stop logging your food. Number 2, unfollow social media accounts that display a lot of calorie counting. Social media can be a place where you find a lot of motivation and inspiration, but it can also promote unhealthy comparison and intensify the pressure for perfection if you're not in a healthy mind space. 3, focus on quality rather than quantity of your food. Going from consistently tracking your calorie intake to not tracking at all can feel slightly overwhelming. One helpful practice is to focus on eating high-quality, nutrient-dense foods and eating until you're comfortably full. When I'm feeling like this, I like to eat things with no packaging or labels like fruits and vegetables, so I'm not tempted to count the calories. Number 4, aim to eat a consistent number of meals every single day. When you're counting calories, it's common to feel like you have to have a lot of structure in your diet, and when it's taken away, it can feel uncomfortable for certain people. So if you aim to eat the same number of meals and snacks daily, it brings back some of that structure. Whether you decide to eat 6 meals a day or 3 meals, having this consistency is going to allow you to let go of tracking calories with less difficulty. 5, practice eyeballing your food. If you have been tracking calories for a long period of time, you likely have a pretty good idea of how many calories are in your favorite foods, along with how much you need. And our last tip, number 6, is seek help from a health professional if obsessive thoughts around calories persist. It is very important to be honest with yourself. If you feel like your obsession towards calorie counting has caused or is contributing to an eating disorder or disordered eating habits, and if you're struggling with obsessive relationship over counting calories, speak to your doctor and seek professional treatment. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching. I hope that you found these tips helpful. If you did, please consider subscribing to our channel. If you have any other tips that you feel have worked for you, please comment and let us know. We would love to hear from you. See you next time.